Hello, and welcome to another episode of Sonic Dialog, the series where we travel around Australia to find out what our local artists are enjoying listening to stateside right now. My name is Aeron, and I'm coming to you today from Edge Radio down in Nipaluna, Hobart. As always, we have a very special guest selector lined up for you today, but before we get to them, we should welcome KCRW icon Raul Campos to the conversation all the way from over in Los Angeles. How are you doing today, Raul?
I am good, Aeron, all the way from LA. It is warm. It's the evening. For you, it's the morning. It is just a beautiful thing, and great to see you. Great to connect as always.
It's always great to have you on the line. And we're chatting today with Andrew from Swayze and the Ghosts. Were you familiar with this band previously?
I was not. And I dig the vibe, and reading a little bit into it, just the change, the departure from what we were used to hearing in the previous record to the new single. I dig it. I dig the changes. I dig the evolution of a band, always kind of looking for like what's next and not kind of get stuck in the same box. But from what I hear, there's a lot of buzz on these guys, right?
Yeah, there is. And they were, well, they were really ballsy with their first single. It was like 10 minutes and 42 seconds long.
See, I love those epic tracks. I love epic tracks like that. Being at KCRW, we're not tied to a radio edit of like 3.5 minutes or whatnot. We can play 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think the longest song I probably ever played was like a 12-minute track. And it was just the whole side on a 12-inch single, and I just let it go. And not just once, but several times on air.
I think I can beat you, Raul. I've played a 25-minute track before on Edge.
Excellent.
But we won't go into that. But yeah, Swayze very quickly became known for the emotional intensity and the rawness and the openness and the in-your-face nature of their music and their performances. And they kind of on a roll. They had a whole bunch of international tour dates booked, and COVID came along. It all got put on hold, but they still got an album out in 2020, Paid Salvation, which really showcased what they were doing at the time really well and was incredibly well received. But they've been on a reset over the last few years. And I'm really excited to have this chat with Andrew today about the new direction they're going in.
Yeah, when I started doing a little deeper dive into it, that song Connect to Consume was like totally in your face, and it was just a slammer. I loved it. And then hearing the new music, I'm like, oh, I can see the departure. It definitely makes sense. So excited to chat with Andrew.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I love all of the new sounds that they've brought into Cool Cucumber, which is the song we're going to listen to today. Like, they're getting a bit weird, and I really like it. All right, well, should we listen to the song, Raul?
I definitely want to check it out, so let's give it a listen.
All right, here's Cool Cucumber by Swayze and the Ghosts.
not that easy to remember why we started. It's not that easy to remember why we started down this path anyway.
Well, why don't we welcome Andrew?
Hey, Andrew. How you doing?
Hey guys, I'm very well, thank you.
Andrew, great to meet you.
Yeah, hey, it's excellent to meet you too, Raul. And nice to see you, Aeron.
I know. It's been a while. Actually, it's only been
It hasn't been that long.
Yeah,
Yeah, it hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
But you know, that's it's still nice to see you.
Yeah, it's always good. Thanks for coming along today.
Pleasure, total pleasure. I'm stoked to be here. I love to have a chat, and talk about music. Can do that for ages.
Well, Andrew, give us the rundown on the new single, Cool Cucumber, and what's been happening over the last few years in your worlds.
Yeah, the new song "Cool Cucumber" is like it's the first song we've released in approximately 4 years. So I mean, that's quite a long time between putting any music out, and that 4 years was filled with a lot of change, a lot of growth, a big step back from touring, which gave us a lot of space to kind of redefine what it meant to be part of our band, and writing for our band. So I think like where we left off, we were touring heaps. We were pretty raucous, pretty self-destructive as well, and like it was a whole lot of fun until it wasn't. And like I think that's where a lot of people kind of left off knowing us. And I found personally that I found this big disconnect between the person I had been growing into and with that character that I kind of left behind. So I did a few things in my life to sort of like get my shit together. I stopped drinking and I started like looking after myself and just doing a bit of work on myself in the last few years. And so I feel like a completely different character to what I was when I left off. And so lyrically, the song is about transitioning into like a different sort of space and feeling like you're breaking out of people's expectations or breaking out of your own expectations. And sonically, like it's a bit of a departure from what we had done previously. So choosing to release this song was really liberating, and that we were just like, you know, let's put this track out to sort of signify that we've shifted. You know, we've shifted as a band significantly. We've shifted as people significantly as well. And I would say, and I'm sure the other people in the band would say as well, that we're probably the best iteration of the band that has ever existed, as far as creativity, communication, like, and just like we're just at peace with what it means to be in this band now, which is awesome. Yeah. So
Well, that's very cool. Now when you were talking about this departure, was the sound already kind of like in your mind is like, okay, we want to definitely go a different sound, or did that new sound kind of evolve as you guys started writing the track and started producing it?
Yeah, the sound has just evolved over time. I put part of that down to like we used to have a rehearsal space and sort of slash studio that we'd visit, and we'd write in, we'd catch up and jam and practice and record things almost every week, multiple times a week. And then we lost that space eventually and had nowhere to sort of rehearse or catch up. So a couple of us were writing a lot of stuff just on our computers at home, like just using I was just using Ableton and making sort of like dorky drum beats and stuff, and then playing guitars over the top of them. And interestingly, like the rigidity of having like sequence drum patterns to write over sort of, for me personally, changed the way that I started to think about rhythm and space. And so I became really interested in sort of offsetting rhythms and just writing a bit differently. Like our approach to writing before was like, chuck your guitar on, turn it up really loud, and just like let some energy out, you know. And that you can probably hear that in our earlier stuff. Whereas
yeah.
yeah. And so like we moved into this space of having all this time all of a sudden in songs, you know, or kind of like not like we're not in a room together like blazing amps, you know. We're just sort of like in our attic or wherever we've got to set up, and then sending files back and forth to each other like during lockdown and those kinds of arrangements. So like I think that impacted the kind of music we were writing. Like, and I started getting really into dance music. Like it's probably the main genre of music that I would listen to. And so I think
I was just gonna ask because like the sound is substantially different. Who were some of the influences, like kind of in the previous iteration of the music to some of the influences now? I can definitely hear the dance element into the new stuff.
Yeah. We were listening to like lots of garage bands and early punk bands and like Television and sort of lots of the Stones, like it just heaps of sort of rock guitar music back then. We were really big fans of Parquet Courts, Ice Age, just post-punk sort of stuff that was really blowing up around that like 2020 time and a couple of years prior, and still is, of course. And yeah, I mean, I think a couple of the guys are still pretty into that sort of stuff, but I think it's kind of changed, like our influences as far as writing has changed quite a lot. Personally, I don't really listen to a lot of guitar music anymore. Like I just sort of, it's not that I don't know. I'm just more interested in dancing. Like I think my attitude toward what music does for me has shifted. It's like I dance out of like happiness now, you know. Whereas I think before I was just sort of like throwing myself around, maybe in an attempt to sort of destruct somehow. So it's hard to, like, I'm sure you get this with a lot of artists. It's hard to pinpoint influences. I find it hard to pinpoint influences at the time. If you would ask me the same question in a few years, I might be able to go, oh, well, I was listening to this back then, and I think that might have influenced the songs. I got pretty into David Bowie a few years ago, and I reckon like you could probably hear some Bowie influence in Cool Cucumber. And the other guys are into that kind of stuff as well. Glam and then like a bit of electro, sort of 2000s electro is a big one for a couple of the guys. So yeah, bit of a fairly wide range of influences in our songwriting.
Well, we can definitely hear a wide range of influences in the songs that you've selected for us to listen to today, Andrew. So why don't we start off with Friko, Where We've Been. This hits me as such an emotionally intense song. Like the way I describe it is it kind of sounds like how feelings feels, if you know what I mean. I don't know if that means much to you, but I know exactly what I mean by that. Tell us about Friko and why this song is important to you.
Yeah, it's interesting that you feel that way about this song, because that's a good way of putting how I feel about it as well. Like the atmosphere in the song is really grabbing. The vocal delivery, there's so much tension in the singer's voice. And the performance in the recording is exceptionally well done. Like the song crescendos in this really tasteful, chaotic, but still really kind of collected way. And the vocal performance just kind of keeps on going through that. Never really pushes pushes ahead of anything or never falls behind. It's really well done, and like the instrumentals in the song, I think are fantastic. All the recording itself just sounds beautiful. Like, I find the lyrics are really emotive. I don't know what the singer's singing about, but I like extrapolate so many of my own meanings and feelings from it, and I really like that in music. I really like to have to like sort of frame it through my own lens. So yeah, I really like this song. It's awesome. First song off.
Yeah,
the
it's
record.
an intense kind of builder as well, because it starts so mellow, and like you said, the emotions and kind of the drama that comes as the instrumentation and the vocals build. It's really cool to see. And obviously Friko, we've been a fan of for some time, coming out of Chicago, because they're also on a very cool semi-indie label called ATO, which we've been big fans of here in the States for quite some time. And the whole record has this kind of like just kind of rawness to it with the powerful vocals. But then, very recently we hear Friko doing a cover of Radiohead, and it was kind of it caught us off guard, because even our morning show host, the promo that she did for the next day, hey, you want to check out the show, we're gonna have a brand new cover of Radiohead. And it was like such a big deal, and it's like, yeah, in addition to the very cool cover, we kind of get a sense that it makes sense that the singer of Friko has kind of these Tom York kind of inspirations.
Yeah, that sounds like an appropriate. I haven't heard that cover, but it sounds like an appropriate cover for the band. Definitely.
You definitely got to check out. It's a cool cover of Weird Fishes.
All right.
So here we go from the album Where We've Been, Where We Go From Here. It's kind of the title track almost, Where We've Been, selected by Andrew right now on Sonic Dialog. It's Friko.
20 years spent above this place. Smell the iron from the room, and the train was running through the window, carrying a pillow so I could lay my head down onto you. Dirty drawers and an awful stench, stomach made of stick and glue. A fortress built between the four rooms, huddled in a dorm room. You took it out of me, and your teeth hurt more than the day before. It's time to get another job. 4 feet between a wall and window will make your wife a widow. So throw your arms around me. I let it all slip away. It's 2 a.m. in the morning. We're running till the dawning takes the breath out of me.
Where we've been from Friko, the first of our guest selections here on Sonic Dialogue today from Andrew of Swayze and the Ghosts. Such an intense burst of emotions in that song. Andrew, thank you so much for bringing it along today.
Maybe this is something that you guys talk about quite a bit, but who are the ghosts and why the ghosts?
The ghosts, well, the ghosts now are they're my band, well, the band now, but I used to live in this haunted house when I was a kid, and I was visited by
What?
yeah, I was visited by a couple of phantoms, and yeah, that was just a crazy experience, and I was just
Wow.
reflecting on that when I was like,
Where was this house? What area?
it was in a place called Kingston, which is just like 15 minutes south of the capital city down here.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just like a rental house. But I was really young, and I tried to tell my parents about it, but like I was only like 4 or something. But I vividly remember it. It was crazy. Anyway, I'd been my parents, I couldn't really explain it to them, although I sort of like dismissed it. But when I was just explaining it to my bandmates, my now bandmates, just ahead of starting the band, and so we sort of decided that was a pretty cool thing to name the band after.
Oh, well, let's move along from Friko to your next selection, Andrew, which is from Fiona Apple, who probably needs no introduction.
No, no, she definitely she definitely doesn't. Yeah.
Well, but I'm getting a little like kind of trend in the music selections that we're getting from you, because Fiona is an amazing lyricist, vocalist, songwriter, and as in the previous track where it evokes such emotion, a lot of Fiona's lyrics definitely, kind of take you there, because she's talked about it quite frequently, that the best way that she can converse with somebody or explain her thoughts is through lyrics and through songwriting. So it makes sense that we're going from Friko to somebody like Fiona Apple. And why her?
I think she's an exceptional songwriter in so many ways, and she really doesn't. People would say she's eccentric. I think that she just doesn't like adhere to standard rules of what it means to write a song, what it means to produce a song. The record that this song Newspaper comes from, Fetch the Bolt Cutters, is her most recent album.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like 2020 or something. An amazing album. And like, I particularly like the production on the record. Like, she has used a lot of the room sound in her recordings. Lots of like amazing percussion. It's clear that she is very much driven on performance rather than trying to get perfect takes and perfection in her sounds. And it really comes through in the record. And it's interesting that you say like she explores emotion, like explores life through writing songs. Because like I think for me that's what music is as well. It's like something that I can use to sort of track my emotions and understand things a bit better. Often I write a song and it's not until after I actually really understand the full meaning of what I was doing or singing. And so I don't know, I have a connection to Fiona Apple. My wife introduced me to Fiona Apple's music. She's a really, really big fan. Like, she's on Reddit like all the time trying to find out when the next release is coming out, because Fiona Apple's really not secretive. She just doesn't really like speak much to.
Yeah, when the album came out, we were blown away. We were kind of surprised and taken back that, but you can hear that kind of like there's a little bit of chaos in her music as well. And obviously, being a New Yorker, and you know, I always consider New York to be a very fast city. You know, being from LA, it's a little more laid back. It's definitely slower. Like I could never live in New York, and everybody says like, "Oh, you got to at least try to live in New York, at least for a short time in your life to experience it," because there is that bit of chaos, you know, and you can hear it in her music. And you said the word eccentric, and I think even she will say she is that.
Probably, yeah. There's a real chaotic nature to her songwriting. Like, and every song on this record is just sort of like balancing. You know, it's like hinging on sort of coming apart. You know, and it's just like there's so much emotion in that. I love it.
And you were talking about the production. She actually teamed up with a pretty good friend. His name is David Garza, based in Texas. And he too is known for using the room and getting a lot of these different kind of textures in his music. And I can see how when they came together, I didn't realize this. I was actually doing a little bit of a research into the album to find out that it was many of the songs produced by David. And that's really cool to see, because just like her, he also kind of like really experiments with the instruments, the songwriting, lyrics as well. So it's like you said, it's never quite perfect. It's always kind of like on that hinge of, is it coming together or is it going to be kind of chaos?
I really like that. Interestingly, like my approach to production in the last couple of years has been the opposite, in like that I've really been trying to make it like sound as big and bold as possible, you know, and really focusing on getting it to sound tight. But like, interestingly, now that I've kind of finished a bit of a process of doing that, I'm just going the other direction, and I want everything to sound really like loose again and raw. So yeah, I guess that's kind of influenced like this song and the song by Friko as well. I think that sort of sits in a similar space.
All right, well, let's hear the song then that Andrew's brought along today from Fiona Apple off the album Fetch the Bolt Cutters. It's Newspaper here on Sonic Dialogue.
To be proud of me, and then I just wanted him to make amends. I wonder what lies he's telling you about me to make sure that we'll never be friends. And it's a shame because you and I didn't get a witness. We're the only ones who know. We were cursed the moment that he kissed us. From then on, it was his big show. I grew concerned when I saw him start to covet you. When I learned what he did, I felt close to you. When my own way, I fell in love with you. But he's made me a ghost to you. I watch him let go of your hand. I want to stand between you, but it's not what I'm supposed to do. I watch him walk over, talk over you, be mean to you. And it makes me feel close to you. It makes me feel close to you. It makes me feel close to you. It's not what it's supposed to do. It makes me feel close to you. I too wanted to make him proud of me, and then I just wanted him to make amends. I wonder what lies he's telling you about me to make sure that we'll never be friends. And it's a shame because you and I didn't get a witness. We're the only ones who know. We were cursed the moment that he kissed us. From then on, it was his big show. From then on, it was his big show. From then on, it was his big show. And you're wearing time like a flowery crown. Sitting that big cat down. And I'm alone on the summit now. watch him let go of your hand. I wanna stand between you, but it's not what I'm supposed to do. I watch him walk over you, talk over you, be mean to you, and it makes me feel close to you. And you're wearing time like a flowery crown, sitting that big cat down. And I'm alone on the summit now, trying not to let my light go out, trying not to let my light go out. You're wearing time like a flowery crown, sitting that big cat down. And I'm alone on the summit now, trying not to let my light go out. Oh, I too used to want him to be proud of me, and then I just wanted him to make amends. I wonder what lies he told you about me to make sure that we'll never be friends. To make sure that we'll never be friends. To make sure that we'll never be friends. To make sure that we'll never be friends.
Here on Sonic Dialogue, we just heard from Fiona Apple, her track Newspaper. It's taken from the album Fetch the Bolt Cutters and was brought in today by our guest selector, Andrew from Swayze and the Ghosts. And that, it's such a punch in the face, that song emotionally. It's so deep, it's so heavy. There's some trauma in the background, but then it's brought together by this deep female connection and alliance. And the thing I love about Fiona Apple, and you two, Andrew and Raul, spoke about it as eccentricity. I wonder if it's more that she just doesn't censor herself in the same way a lot of artists do. Like, what comes out of her, it's just exactly what she's thinking or she's feeling, and we're getting it exactly as she's thinking or feeling it. And I think that's just what makes her work so powerful, is she is not holding anything back.
Totally agree.
But that whole album, like, so intense. Yeah, we're really, really hearing the emotional intensity with these first two picks from Andrew. And then we're about to go in a little bit of a different direction with the final selection today.
Yeah, quite a different direction.
And Andrew, I'm going to let you say the name of the artist, please.
Okay. The next artist are called FCUKERS. Or FCUKERS. I don't know how you pronounce it. Let's say FCUKERS. And they're from New York City. And the song's called Bon Bon. And stylistically, it kind of reminds me a bit of like Groove Armada, which is like, in my childhood, was something that I listened to all the time. Like these days, I listen to heaps of techno, so it's definitely in a different place. It's more housey. This song coming up, but sometimes, like, for me, this kind of like housey stuff can be a little bit cheesy. But this song like just hit me, and I was just like, yeah, this is so rad. I gotta remember this one. So there's, as far as like composition and things like that, I haven't got a lot of comments. Like, it's just about the vibe of this one for me. As I understand it, these guys are a band, so they're actually playing drums and instruments. Presumably, like, not, they didn't track it like that. I reckon they would probably have done, like, cut it up a bit. But I think live they actually play instruments, which is really cool. It's pretty rare.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head, saying that they sound kind of like Groove Armada, and I'm hearing Basement Jacks and playing a lot of these artists back then. This would sound perfectly like if I was to dig out some of those records from, like you said, the early 2000s, and yeah, they are, like LCD Sound System, Daft Punk in there, and artists that can really play these songs live as a band.
Yeah, this definitely would have made it onto house party playlists that I was going to in the mid 2000s for sure.
Well, why don't we dance a little bit with Bon Bon right now? Music selected by Andrew Swayze of A Swayze and the Ghosts right now on Sonic Dialog. And this is, once again, give us the name of the band, Andrew, please.
FCUKERS.
FCUKERS there, selected by Andrew from A Swayze and the Ghosts, their track Bon Bon here on Sonic Dialog. Raul, how are you feeling after that one?
Oh, I was dancing around. Are you kidding me? I mean, being a DJ playing that sound for so many years, and great to see that there's new music that's really kind of being influenced by that classic kind of basement jacks, Groove Armada sound. But the question for you, Andrew, is like, obviously you were talking about like when you were talking about Fiona Apple and kind of being inspired to loosen up the production a bit from this kind of rigid dance music, kind of four to the floor kind of thing where you're kind of locked into this beat. But how is that going to translate to the live performance?
Don't know. That's a good question. I think there's ways of sort of bridging the gap. I think starting with the bass, like like 4 to the floor kick pattern, for example, like this is the basis of all dance music, and it's always to a grid, and it's important that it is as well, so that you really lock in with it. But I think there's so much space around that pattern to sort of syncopate other rhythms, work on performances that aren't to the grid. I'm really interested in that.
Well, I think there's always that feel, even when you're doing a DJ set and trying to play tracks that have a little bit of a swing, and it's not just kind of that rigid, metronome of a track where it has the dynamics, it has breakdowns, you hear live instrumentation, and especially with that track in your song, I can hear that there is going to be that room to expand and push it a little bit and give it a bit of a swing, especially when you're performing live.
Yeah, definitely. For us, like, I guess the challenge at the moment is to work out how to get tonally, how to incorporate those kinds of sounds into our live performance. Incorporating things like a sample pad, into the performance, bringing more synthesizers in, working out whether they're all clocked or if there are any kind of backing tracks used for anything. It's pretty cool actually to be sort of staring at that, thinking, okay, what are these sort of technical challenges we're going to face? But yeah, I don't know. I guess like we've been playing as a band with 2 guitars, a bass and a drum set for such a long time. It's kind of exciting to be thinking in a different space as well. So I'm looking forward to working all that stuff out as we continue to write music that sort of strays away from conventional rock music.
I'm looking forward to hearing more too, Andrew. And can I just say, on a personal level, you mentioned it earlier, I'm really happy that you are dancing happily now rather than dancing as a form of escape.
Thank you. I appreciate hearing that, Aeron. Yeah, me too. It's it's a lot healthier, that's for sure.
Yeah, I feel it.
Well, it's just fun, and music, evoking emotions. You said it could be lyrically, it could be with that kind of like emotion of the instrumentation, but there's just this joy of letting loose on a dance floor that your music is evoking now, where you can do both. You're not just one or the other. It's like you guys can go back from, something that's traditional kind of rock with 2 guitars, bass, drums, and then to something that's a little more beatsy, that's kind of synth driven, and then go back and forth, and guessing that your audience, your fans are that open enough that they're willing to go in on this journey with you guys, which is cool.
Yeah, that's right. I think one big thing for us in the last few years has been letting go of limitations, whether that's like genre limitations or instrument limitations or whatever. It just became kind of boring writing. Like we weren't setting out to write within a genre earlier, but we found ourselves sort of falling into that. And especially after we started to gain like a bit of attention, I guess we felt kind of compelled to continue writing in that space, and I'm sure many artists face that. So interestingly, like kind of a forced hiatus allowed us to step back and go, hang on, like what music do we actually want to write? What limitations are we like facing at the moment? And so it's really freeing, like not to feel any like we have to do any like music in any kind of way. I genuinely feel like we've become genreless, and there is zero fear about releasing a song and it not connecting with an audience or something. Like it doesn't matter to us anymore. It used to, I guess, when we were kind of like really pushing to make a career out of performing. But now, like it's music, it's far more, it's something that we just have to do, you know, like we each have to just do it out of a necessity, like an internal drive to do it. And it's just whatever comes out is what comes out. So that's pretty cool.
Well, we can't wait to hear more. That's for sure. Can't wait to hear more.
Man, I can't wait to share more.
We're waiting for it. That brings another episode of Sonic Dialogue to a close. Thank you, Raul, as always, for the chat. And thank you, Andrew, for the chat and the selections today. And of course, we need to thank the US Embassy in Canberra, because without them, this would not be possible. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate your time.